Hi, everyone. Welcome to Stop Networking and Start Building Key Strategic Partnerships. Today, we're going to talk about how you can quickly grow your business without getting better at marketing or sales. So, our learning objectives, what we're going to cover today is how you can grow your business while attracting ideal clients. And for the record, this is tailored to accountants or CPAs. As a recovering accountant, I really love the space. And one of the frustrations I find is that if we don't know what to do, we struggle from this uncertainty. We end up doing a whole bunch of things, wasting a lot of time, energy, and money that doesn't necessarily add value to either us or our clients. Now, one of the things I do want to stress is that the best next client is already your current favorite client. And what I mean by that is if you have new products or services you can offer, your current favorite clients will happily pay you more. That's not the point of today's message. Today, my goal is to help eliminate uncertainty for you. And ultimately, what I'd love to do is help you understand why traditional networking doesn't work. And the last thing we'll cover is how to deliberately create a network of mutual referral relationships. That's the key strategic partnerships we talk about in the title. And the good news is you don't have to get any better at marketing or sales. And the reason I say that is if you get better at marketing, you need to get better at sales. Because when you bring in cold traffic, that's an industry term, when you use ads to bring in strangers to your mix, a world-class salesperson, if they're really having a great day, they're winning awards, they're lucky, and these are their words, so they're lucky to close 20, maybe 30% of their deals from advertising and marketing efforts. Now, accountants who are not necessarily known for their marketing skills or their sales skills, an average accountant can close 8 to 9 out of 10 conversations they have with referrals. So we want to get you away from wasting your time talking to 10 people, hoping to close 2 or 3. We want you to talk to 10 and turn 8 or 9 of those into clients. Now, we would never want to get to 100% because if we're closing 100%, it means either we're not asking enough in our fees or we're not rejecting people who aren't a fit. So just know that it is not ideal to close 100% of the people that you talk to and convert them into clients. So these are the learning objectives. We're going to have a little bit of fun today. So our agenda, I want to introduce you to who I am. And I feel that's very important. So hi, I'm Jeff. We're going to talk about the strategic sales overview. So what is it? What does it look like? I'm going to share my exact key strategic partner process. And then I'm going to give you 3 choices. And at the end, we'll talk about next steps. So probably the most important slide is me. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Bourgeois. I am a recovering accountant. I've been in the industry a long time. I've spent most of my adult life building a practice. And in that process, I figured out how to grow. And I actually doubled my practice for 3 consecutive years. The second practice, so I sold that one while I waited for the non-compete. My second practice, I really wanted to see how quickly I could grow. And in less than 12 months, I went from a zero in revenue, complete startup, to $1 million plus in revenue. So as an accountant, I know what I'm doing. And in about 2003, I stopped practicing. I got tired of the repetition of tax returns. And I also got a little frustrated in dealing with people after the fact rather than helping them as we were going. And I am a business coach now to the accounting profession. I am a rabid learner. I love learning. And I guess my primary role is that of a growth strategist. And I love rocking the status quo. So I consider myself a change catalyst. And quite frankly, I'm a fan of all things related to business technology. If you're not following me or if we're not connected, here's my LinkedIn link. Join me there, and I happily share the lessons I'm learning, the books I'm reading. This is not a sales pitch. This is a genuine invitation to join my network, and I'm happy to introduce you to people that I think would add value to you. Now, the most important question you're going to have for today is why listen to me? And as I've mentioned a couple of times, I am a recovering accountant. I say that with sincerity. I know how hard accountants work. And I am the first to admit I worked way too hard. I can tell you the health implications of 100-hour weeks. It's not fun. But the biggest problem was I didn't know what was working, what wasn't. So I just did more. And since 2007, more or less, I've spent over 10,000 hours mastering marketing and sales. So for the record, when I tell you you have to get better at marketing and then better at sales, I know from experience. Now, my goal is to save you 10,000 hours because after 10,000 hours, the irony was the simplicity of a strategic partnerships was way more productive than all of the marketing and sales skills I learned. And in the process, I've spent years learning how to network. I've been an avid networker at least since the year 2000, probably a little bit before. And it's fascinating. The last couple of years, I've learned that everything I learned was wrong. Um, in the last couple of years, I've found some mentors. I've challenged them. They've challenged me. And the aha moment for me, which was really funny because it was there all along, was to focus on relationships, not about business, but people first. And when you build real mutually beneficial relationships, which we'll talk about more, the rest just falls into place. So this is why I believe you should listen to me. But for the record, don't take anything I say for granted. Challenge it, test it, try it in your own business. And the fundamental thing is you can be really good at networking, but if you don't focus on relationships, networking becomes a little bit of a side hustle. You'll get some results, but not great results. When you build real relationships, you'll never have to network again. And more importantly, you'll never have to, as an accountant, you should never have to spend any time on search engine optimization, Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, paid outreach, God forbid, cold calling. You don't need any of that if you know how to build and leverage key strategic partnerships. So let's jump right in. Before we start, I have a question for you, and I'd like to know, do you deliberately cultivate win-win relationships with key strategic partners to bring you new clients? And really, truly, a key strategic partner is just somebody who also deals with the same people you deal with. So rather than you going out and chasing the next client, the next client, the next client, you're going out and chasing hundreds, if not thousands at a time. So the amount you chase, the quantity you want, will depend on how much scale and ability you have to grow. So first, I'm going to define strategic sales, and I define it as the process of leveraging mutually beneficial partnerships to promote educational entertainment in order to attract your ideal clients in bulk. Most businesses pursue clients one lead at a time, as I mentioned, but with strategic sales, the focus is on mutually beneficial relationships that can bring you a high volume of your ideal clients. So think about it as buying your clients in bulk. So the key components of strategic sales are the words leveraging, mutually beneficial, promote, attract, ideal clients, bulk, and relationships. So leveraging, it means we do the work once, we do a little bit of work, and we get big results. So we're looking for leverage. We don't want to do one-to-one. We want one-to-many. Mutually beneficial is very important to me. You have to be building mutually beneficial relationships. So it's not a one-way street. Both of you benefit. And ideally, the clients benefit in the process. So this is about everybody wins, at least triple win, maybe quadruple win. Promote, if you have content, your strategic partners will share it with their audience and you'll share their content with your audience. So attract, most businesses are chasing the next client. We want our ideal clients to find us and be attracted to us. So we want to focus on attract. And ideal clients is probably the one most people miss. Generalists will say, oh, anybody's a good client. I have never met anyone who is a generalist that served everyone, that loved every client. So even if you are a generalist, there are features and defining things, whether it's geography, whether it's industry, whether it's a problem you solve, there is an ideal client. So we don't want to aim for everyone because it's hard to attract everyone. We just want to focus on who our ideal clients are. And bulk, again, we don't want it one to one. We want to attract them at scale. So if we're looking to grow and we want to add 50 new clients in the next year, we need to get 50 new clients. So how can we get in front of enough people to get those 50 clients? And the last word is relationships. And I bring this up because I find it absolutely fascinating. A lot of people, they expect to get quick results. And I'm going to quote Bob Berg from his book, The Go-Giver, that he co-authored with John David Mann. He talks about a lot of people, they stand in front of the fireplace of life and say, if you give me heat, I will put in some wood. It doesn't work that way. And it's like that with relationships. You have to give before you can expect to get. So you need to create social capital. You need to deposit to the bank account of your relationships long before you ever can expect to make a withdrawal. So once we know what strategic sales are, we need to understand what key strategic partnerships are. And basically, to do this, we need to adopt a strategic sales mindset. So we're looking at how can we build win-win scenarios, and we're going to implement the strategic sales strategies that I will share in this presentation. And most importantly, we're going to focus on building mutually beneficial relationships. And therefore, we're going to network with like-minded businesses that also serve your ideal client. I often get asked, people say, well, shouldn't I be advertising here or doing paid traffic here or doing SEO, search engine optimization? And the reality is, I have yet to find any strategy that works faster and better. So, therefore, in my belief, if done right, key strategic partnerships are, in fact, the shortest path to cash. They can significantly reduce your marketing spend. In a lot of cases, they can almost completely eliminate it. And more importantly, it can turn your business development into a profit center. Just imagine how fast your business can grow if you actually make money bringing in new leads. Most people pay, and I actually know one professional franchise, their average per customer, per new customer, they spend on average $2,800. So if you're just starting out in that space, you've got to save significant money just to get your first client. You've got to have $2,800 to spend. What if your business development actually generated cash? It flips the equation, because then you can grow as much as you want because each new customer is profitable from the get-go. Now, we talked about reducing marketing spend. We can also reduce marketing effort. And this is the part I love. We can attract our ideal clients, which will reduce our sales effort and reduce the length of our sales cycle. And what we want is to turn more of our ideal prospects into ideal clients. And ultimately, that gives us higher value ideal clients over a longer term. They will pay us more, they'll value us more, and therefore they'll stay with us longer. So we have a 5-step process. So in the clarity phase, and I will go through this in detail, in the clarity phase, you're going to learn who you serve and what you offer them. So really, what problems do you solve for them? Next step, we're going to talk about content, and you're going to have the choice between whether you want to create content or curate it. And for that, we need to have a really clear understanding of the top problems that our customers or our ideal client is facing. Then we're going to customize, and that's where we actually start to put our key strategic partner plan together. And once we've customized, we'll create. And in that, we're going to create our strategic partner engagement plan. How do we reach our strategic partners and stay top of mind? And then last but not least, we're going to connect with our key strategic partners. I'll walk you through this in more detail. So first, we really need clarity. And I promise you, no matter what you think, you're going to be tempted to skip this step. The reality is, I know a lot of unsuccessful businesses, and the main reason they struggle is they're not clear on who they serve. In fact, I've worked on this with many, many businesses, and it's fascinating because they're adamant that this doesn't work, that doesn't work, I can't do this, I can't afford that. When we get clear on who their ideal client avatar is, it becomes really easy. And I can't stress enough, marketing is hard when you try to be all things to all people. It's really hard to attract anyone. We're going to talk specifically about word of mouth marketing, and it's going to be focused on our ideal client avatar, and it is easy. So if we focus, it's easy. And so one of the things we want is to identify a maximum of 3 potential niches with our ideal client avatars. So the reason I pick 3 is sometimes people want to, spread the risk a little. They want to try different things. 3 is the maximum because really, truly, anything beyond that, you're just wasting time and energy. You're better to be really good at 3 than to be okay at 6. So first thing is you want to describe your ideal client avatar in detail. And you need to answer 3 questions. Are you passionate about them? Do you like them as an industry or as a group? Can you help them win? Can you get them results? And then profit. Can they afford to pay you what you're worth? And this is probably one of the ones I see the biggest struggle. A lot of entrepreneurs love dealing with small companies or startups because they're easy to find. Unfortunately, if you work with small companies, you'll end up staying small yourself because generally smaller companies can't afford to pay for a lot of other services. Next in clarity is what. And we go through a client pain diagnostic. And I want you to not skip this as well. You need to stop the recording if necessary and work on this. So, what are 3 things that your ideal client needs to know in order to properly diagnose the root cause of their pain? So, a lot of people are trying to fix symptoms. We want to help them get to the root cause. So, that's the first question. The second question is what are 3 things they can do themselves in order to ease their pain? So we want to give them some wins so that they can be confident enough to come to us. Next step is what are 3 things you can do to ease their pain? And we want to get clear, what have they tried before to solve their pain? And how deep is the pain? So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being hangnail pain, it's barely noticeable. 10 being migraine pain, it's literally crippling. What is their pain level? So the goal is we want to solve migraine level pain, not waste our time with hangnail level pain. And unfortunately, a lot of people try to solve small problems. If you solve small problems, you get small fees. If you solve big problems, you're going to get paid bigger fees. So we're going to talk about our ideal client avatar's hot buttons because this is how we're going to word our message and how we're going to shape content. So first things first, we want to know what they're trying to move away from. So what are their frustrations? Those are the immediate things. Here's what's annoying us. Um, I'm really frustrated with employee turnover. Excuse me. And what are their fears? And fears tend to be imagined. What's the worst case scenario that could happen? What keeps them awake at night? And so once we know what they're trying to move away from, that's the state of unhappiness that they're currently in. So, for example, if you're watching this, maybe your frustration is you're spending time, energy, and money on online ads or social media, and you're not getting any new clients out of it, or worse, you're getting really bad clients out of it, and it's starting to bog your business down. So the fear's more imagined, but this is where we go. If I'm not getting good clients, my business may fail. I might lose my house. So we want to identify what people are trying to move away from. Next, we're going to talk about what they want to move towards. So wants are immediate. I want more cash in my business. I want to have a deeper impact. I want to help more people. Aspirations are, how is my life better because of it? So, a lot of people think in terms of, if I had more clients, I could buy a bigger house, I could drive a nicer car, eat at nicer restaurants, or maybe you believe in impact, so you can have a bigger impact on charity, or you can reach more people. So the key question I love to ask is, what keeps them awake at night? And you really need to be clear, what would they search on Google to find a solution to their problem? Now, for the record, I know there are other search engines, but Google is the vast majority that is used by people. So I'm going to use Google in my search criteria. So once we have clarity, we're going to build a signature system. So we want to identify the problem. That's, again, the frustrations and fears, the life they have now that they'd like to get away from. And then we want to identify our promise, which is, can we help them achieve their wants and aspirations? And I recommend you create a 5-step process. You'll know we have a 5-step process, and we want to take people from the problem to promise fulfilled. And by the way, there are a lot of experts out there that will try to convince you that a recorded session is a live session. And they'll also try to convince you that, you need the help. You have to go and take their course. First of all, I want to say this is in fact recorded, and it's recorded because I want you to be able to play it at your own speed, rewind, that sort of thing. And the other thing is, my goal is to give you everything you need to walk away and do this yourself. So you're not waiting for me to come and save you. If you want help, it's there. But if you are smart and you're willing to start, you can take this and run with it yourself. So the next step is content. So once we have clarity, then we're going to create or curate content. So the first question is, do you want to create or curate? So if you love creating new and original content, create might be for you. Think about the formats you like best. Do you want to record audio? Do you want to do video? Are you comfortable with the written word or other? Now, if you don't like creating new and original content, the good news is it's easy to curate content. So you can share favorite resources. One of my favorite things to do is share books I've read. Now, if you know other experts that create wonderful content, you can sometimes pay them, or you can they'll create content for you to distribute for free. So in terms of content, I'm going to talk about 4 examples. We're going to walk through this. The white paper is the basic one. Case study is a little more involved. Then we'll talk about a presentation. And then last but not least, a top 5 list. So if we create a white paper, the goal is to identify potential objections that somebody might have to working with you. So for example, if somebody is worried about working with me to help them grow their business, they might have an objection. Well, how do I know you'll get results? Is there a guarantee? I don't know you. How can I trust you? So you want to identify potential objections, and you want to answer them in the white paper. So you're going to clearly state the problem being solved. My problem that I solve is I help accountants get more of their ideal client. And we want to quantify the cost of inaction, which in my case is really easy. If somebody is spending $2,000 to $3,000 a month on Facebook or Google or any of the other ad platforms, and they're not getting high quality clients, the cost of inaction is the foregone growth. If your goal is to grow by 10% a year and you're not reaching that goal, that's an opportunity cost. The other cost of inaction is the actual money you're spending and the time you're spending. So we're going to explain why they must solve the problem. Again, if you're looking to grow your practice, the number one thing you need to solve is, how do I get more new ideal clients? And then we're going to show 3 ways the problem might show up. So we're going to talk about symptoms. So one of the things I see with people who don't know how to get new clients, they keep annoying nuisance clients long after they should have fired them. They worry about where their next new client is coming from, or maybe they stay awake at night wondering about profitability. And then you're going to share 3 ways to solve the problem. And you always give 3 choices. And you'll see at the end, I will give you 3 choices. So the 3 choices are the status quo. They could do it themselves, or they could get help from you. And then last but not least, you want to share the transformation that you offer. My transformation is that I help accountants get their time, money, and energy back. And instead of working with the next client, they get to work with ideal clients, and they have key strategic partners to help them. And then you want to give them a call to action. So at the end, I share how somebody could work with me. The next piece of content I'd like to create is a case study. And again, we want to identify any potential objections they might have to working with you. We want to introduce the hero or the character in the case study. We want to introduce their hopes and dreams, what they wanted to get out of working with us. We're going to then describe their initial pain and the cost of inaction. What were they lacking when they came to us? And we're going to then identify the turning point. What had to change in their life so that they could work with us? And then we want to share a little bit of their experience of what it was like to work with you. So we want to take away some of the fear, the unknown, the pain. And we want to share how the character actually felt in the process. So what benefits did they see? And then last, we want to share what life is like with the promise fulfilled. So they had a want or an aspiration, they had lack. And once they worked with us, we gave them the promise fulfilled. What did that mean to them? And again, we always have a call to action. It can either be an active call to action, which is call us now to do this, or it could be passive, download this video to learn more. So active is having them reach out and do something with us. Call to action is maybe they need more information. Now, presentations are my favorite. And by the way, I usually prefer whiteboard. I love to do presentations in front of people. Some of the key components: who is this presentation for? Who is it not for? And if you're doing something to attract your ideal client, you want to have a title, and you can use this template. Just insert your words where I have it underlined. So top 3 mistakes audience or blank make when trying to solve problem or blank. So for example, top 3 mistakes accountants make when trying to attract ideal clients. Now the subtitle is usually a strategies to get promise blank without pain blank. So again, strategies to get ideal clients without getting better at marketing or sales. And in the white about me, we want to try to answer why me, why now? So as an example, I didn't do this in our presentation today, But my track record, I doubled my first firm 3 consecutive years in a row. So that's why you should listen to me on this. The other claim to fame, after I sold my first practice, I went and did other things. I built another practice and I wanted to test some of my theories. I built it from 0 to 1 million in revenue in under 12 months. So that's why me. Why now? I think with the times we've been through with COVID, it's harder than ever to get people's attention um, with marketing. Ad spends are going up, results are going down, and we want to get really high quality. And then the presentation, I'm not going to follow this format exactly because I'm trying to teach you everything. But if you're just trying to educate somebody on how they could work with you, you would list out you'd have the 3 mistakes. So for each one of the three, so we talked about the top 3 mistakes. For each mistake, we're going to help them identify, do they make this mistake? Here's what it looks like. We want to quantify the cost. So here's what this mistake is costing you in real dollars. We want to give them a why as to why they should fix it. We want to address common concerns or objections. And then last but not least, we want to show them how they can get help. And now we're going to get into, so we've talked about why they need help or how they can help. The next thing is we want to share our signature system. So here's how we can help you. And as I said earlier, you always want a call to action. So the passive is they can get more information. Active, they want to sign up to work with you and your signature system. So you always give them 3 choices. So status quo or do nothing is the first choice, because that is true. They're thinking it, we may as well say it. Second choice is they can do something by themselves, or option 3, you can work with me in my signature system. And I always do a thank you and ask for feedback. And you'll see that at the end. The reason I always ask for feedback is I genuinely want to know. I don't do these presentations for my own good. I do it for participants. So I want to know how I can make it better. I want to know if there's any questions I left unanswered. And feedback is a good way for me to grow as a presenter, but to make sure I'm serving the people who need my help. Now, the last type of content, and this is not an all-inclusive list, it's just something short to get you started. The internet loves top 5 lists, top 10 lists, whatever your top X number list is. In fact, there's a new word, it's called a listicle. The goal of a top 5 list, a lot of people just do a list with no context. That doesn't help the world. So I have a little bit of a structure or template. First thing I do is I want to define the problem. So who has it? What is it? What's the cost of it? And then I want to compare that to my solution or my promise. So what does life look like without that problem in existence? So as an example, I help accounting firms grow. I help them grow predictably by bringing in only their ideal client. What would life be like if you could get rid of your worst clients and you knew with absolute certainty whenever you needed a new client, you could find one? And I like to share fun quotes, something relevant. One of my favorite quotes is by Zig Ziglar, and I'm going to butcher it right now. But basically, he says, if you help others get what they want, you'll have everything you want. So it's about helping others. And I always like to give 5 resources to make their solution better so they can solve the problem on their own. And then I'll have a call to action. Sometimes I'll do both. So you can have a passive one where they get more information, or an active one where you're actually going to help them, or they're going to reach out and talk to you. Okay, this is my little wheel, and this is about how to build a key strategic partner plan. So what you want to do, and there's an exercise later we'll talk about. But think about your business or your firm. And I created this for accountants, but think about this for any business, any industry. You're the center of the wheel. And I deliberately chose a chuck wagon because I wanted something old fashioned. The key to a key strategic partner plan is keep it super simple. The KISS principle. So we have our firm at the center, the hub of the wheel, and the spokes represent key strategic partners that we want to grow with and build with and connect with. So if we have good key strategic partners, we'll have a smooth ride in our life and in our business. If we don't have these spokes properly filled in, we're going to have a little bumpy ride. And basically, each of these spokes represent a category of key strategic partner who will in turn be able to introduce us and connect us with our ideal clients. And again, this isn't a quid pro quo, you give me a lead, I'll give you a lead. It's we're building genuine relationships. So we want to pick people in these spokes that serve our ideal client and that we like. So this is not about mass production. We're not trying to get as many of these as possible. In fact, in the exercise I'll show you, our goal is a maximum of 3 per category. Now, the reason it's 3 and not 1 is that if we have only one person in the lead in that category and one of our clients needs help and they either don't like that person or that person's not available, we can't serve our clients any better. So we want at least 3 so that our clients can pick and choose. And I'm not going to go through all of these categories in detail, but think about your own business and who else does business with your ideal client. So, for example, when I used to run an accounting firm, I had a niche. I was in an industry I focused on. I got a lot of referrals from other accountants who didn't want to work with that type of client. My 2 favorites, so I have a couple of things I want you to recognize. First of all is the dynamic duo. The dynamic duo is the bookkeeper and the accountant. If you put bookkeepers and accountants together, they're perfect, natural, synergistic partners. You can grow a very substantial business just by partnering with, if you're an accountant, partner with a couple of good bookkeepers. If you're a bookkeeper, partner with a couple of good accountants. So that's the dynamic duo. Now, the Holy Trinity is accounting professionals, and in that, I'm going to lump in accountants and bookkeepers. So it's accounting professionals, business brokers who help businesses buy and sell, and business coaches. And the reason they're a holy trinity, in my opinion, is they are very natural and fit together to help one another. So accountants, they touch clients at all stages of their business. Obviously, business brokers, they're touching clients at the end of their business journey. But think of it as a baton. When one business's journey ends, the next one's journey begins. So business brokers are usually the bridge from the old owners to the new. And then last but not least, we have business coaches. And one of the struggles, I talk to a lot of business coaches, their main struggle is they don't know how to get numbers because the books and records aren't up to date. So if the books and records aren't current, it's virtually impossible for a business coach to focus on KPIs, key performance indicators. How do we grow the business? The other one I want to point out is groups. So if you work with, let's say, plumbers, you want to find groups that your plumbers belong to because your content can be shared with those groups and it can get you more and more of your ideal clients attracted to you. So I can't stress this enough. I think I've said it a couple times. I'll say it at least one more. focus on building mutually beneficial quality relationships. We're not going for quantity, we're going for quality. So I will say this over and over, more is not better, better is better. So we want better relationships. And again, I showed you the wheel. We want to know which categories are most relevant to your business. So if a category isn't relevant to you, cross it off, write your own in. There's a worksheet that's on the next slide you can fill in yourself. And ask yourself, who do you already know, like, and trust in each category that would be a key strategic partner for mutual referrals? Mutual is the key word. So if somebody is asking you for referrals, it is eventually fair to ask them for referrals. Personally, I like to give referrals, and over time, I just know that referrals will come back to me. Now, to be clear, I don't give with the expectation I'll get, but I do recognize that the right people over time will bring referrals. It's just good karma. We want to help each other. And as I said, your goal is to have a maximum of 3 key strategic partners per category, and you want to fill in any gaps through deliberate networking. So this is just an image. You can do this on your own, but basically for every category, think of this like key strategic partner bingo. The first round through, you're going to list all the categories that are relevant to your business. Second round, you're going to fill in each of these. So, let's say your category is business coaches. You're going to list the names of all the business coaches that you currently know, the top 3, your top favorites, and you're going to put those 3 here. Now, at the end of the day, once you've filled out this form, all of the little blanks, anything that's blank is a hole in your network. You want to plug that hole. So the first place you want to start is reaching out to your network and saying, I'm looking to meet a great fill in the blank, whether it's accountant, bookkeeper, lawyer, coach. Do you know anybody that you love that you would recommend? If so, would you mind introducing me to them? And by the way, I love to do this with my strategic partners. I will help them fill in their sheet first. It then becomes an easy conversation. They're going to want to help you if you help them. So this is my number one strategy. If your business needs more clients today, focus on your strategic partner network. So once you've gone through this with your strategic partners, if you still have holes, reach out to your favorite clients and say, hey, do you have a good person in this category that you could introduce me to? And that's the beautiful thing. If you, as a small business, had 3 or 4 really good key strategic partners, your business would grow strategically and quickly, literally overnight. Just imagine if you had 36 advocates out in the world actively advocating for you, your business would literally explode in a positive way. So that's our goal. We want to fill in this bingo card so that our networking is always paying off. Okay. Now we only have a few more slides, but these are important. I'm going to get through them so that you understand. Next step is create. And we have a 12-step key strategic partner engagement plan. I would encourage you to do the same. So the first thing I like to do is if I'm not connected with somebody, I want to make sure I connect with them on LinkedIn. So first things first, we're not doing this for hundreds of people. We're doing it for at most 36. So we're going to connect with them on LinkedIn. And by the way, you can go beyond 36. So once you have your 12 categories with 3 per category filled, you can look at other categories and start adding that. So step 1, you want to connect on LinkedIn. Step 2, this is about them. So you want to clarify who their ideal client is, not yours, theirs. Step 3, you're going to make introductions. You're going to introduce them to people you know who either are an ideal client or know their ideal client. Now, one of the things I love is connecting strategic partners with strategic partners. That's a really big win. Next thing, I like to host webinars or presentations. So I always invite them to the webinar and get them to understand who I am, what I do. I want them to come to the webinar only if it adds value to them. Step 5, if I have networking events, which I love to do, I will invite them to join me at a networking event. After the event, usually by now, they will ask you who your ideal client is. So you want to educate them on who you work with. And by the way, if you have a nice little one pager with your client avatar, your signature system, that is really good to share because they know who to send your way. You want to acknowledge any life changes. And by the way, back to step 6, a lot of people describe, they think people know what an accountant does, so they don't describe it. But think about trigger events. What in someone's life makes them want to come to you? So if for example, you're an accountant, forming an incorporated company would be a good time for somebody to reach out to an accountant. If you're a divorce attorney, they're probably going to talk to you when they're separated or looking to divorce. Step 7, acknowledge life changes. So if they get a career change or, they get married, you want to congratulate them on the positives, offer condolences and support on the negatives. Always celebrate their birthday. So social media, LinkedIn in particular, I love it because it tells me when people's birthdays are. It's worthwhile keeping a calendar. You can get a lot of impact on somebody. You can really touch them if you mail them a handwritten birthday card. Nobody does it anymore, so stand out. Step 9, if you see an article that's relevant to them or helps them or solves a problem they have or celebrates them, share it with them. Step 10, if you've introduced them to anyone, ask for feedback. How did it go? Was it a good fit? What could I do to make it better? Things like that. And then step 11, again, this wasn't all about asking for introductions, but if at this point they haven't given you any, maybe you can ask them, do you know anybody who could use my help? Or I like to say, is there anybody that, you've been to my webinar? Do you know anybody that could benefit from it? Would you like to have them as a guest at the next one? And then step 12 is the most important. Always express gratitude. And what I mean by always is if an introduction doesn't work out, thank them for the effort and let them know why it didn't work. So thank you for introducing me to Bob. It didn't work because he and I are at different levels of the spectrum or something. If it does work, express gratitude and say, thank you. Thank you for bringing me that wonderful client. And again, a handwritten thank you card goes a long way. It doesn't have to be a monetary, it doesn't have to be a quid pro quo. It's not I owe you, you owe me. The best thing you can do with key strategic partners is forget about keeping score. Obviously, if you never receive a referral, then maybe you want to question whether that person is worth being on your list. But you can never go to them and say, look, you owe me, I gave you this many. That defeats the whole point of building a relationship. All right. And Connect is the step 5 in our program, our signature system. So you want to implement your key strategic partner plan, engagement plan. And I love to leverage LinkedIn. I'm not a fan of other social media. And the only reason is the professionals I want to meet are on LinkedIn. If your ideal client and the people that serve them are on other platforms, then that's where you'd be. But I use LinkedIn because that's where my connections are. Now, I like to have agreements in place. Doesn't have to be formal, but you could agree we're going to work together. For example, maybe we do a speaker series. In month one, I talk. In month two, you talk. In both months, we promote it to our mutual clients or our individual clients. And the important thing is you want to create systems because consistency is key. Now, again, I did say earlier, don't keep score, but you do want to track results. So I like to track the introductions I've made, the introductions I've received, and the outcomes. So that's important to me. Again, I'm not going to run to somebody and say, hey, you owe me an introduction. I've given you 3. The other thing is tracking outcomes. It allows me to celebrate, but I also want to track my gratitude. And again, the balance or imbalance of the relationship is not to judge someone. It's just to say maybe they're not a fit. And by the way, for me, it's more about if somebody gives me a lot of leads, I want to make sure I'm correcting that imbalance because I don't want them to feel taken advantage of or to resent me. So this is the part where I normally ask for feedback. I'm not going to go through all of these questions, but these are examples of questions you could ask. So my favorite question is, was it worth your time to attend? Next favorite question is, how valuable was the workshop or presentation for your business? And I like to get them to quantify, in dollars, how much would they earn more if they implemented one of the tips I gave them today? And by the way, if somebody says $2, I probably am not going to want to ask to work with them. But if somebody says 250,000, then they're probably a good fit to work with. And I usually recap and say, here's what we covered today. What's one thing you learned the most from? What's the one thing you wish we had spent more time on? And again, how much will this add to your income in the next 12 months if you apply the ideas learned today in your business? And then you can ask them, do you want to learn more about our program? So in this case, I'm left it on the slide, but I have a XCOLO 33 mastermind program. We're not going to talk about that today, but that's an example. Would you like to learn more about our program? So as I mentioned throughout and at the beginning, you have 3 choices. The first choice is you could do nothing. And yes, the status quo is always an option. I recognize that. Doing nothing is the default. It's easy. We can keep doing the same things and hope for different results. Or we could look at implementing yourself. I've gone through literally everything you need to know. You could create white papers, you could create case studies, presentations, top 5 lists. You have everything you need, all of the tools to create your own 12-step key strategic partner engagement plan. So I've shared everything you need. You just need to go back through the video, take some notes, and you can get started building your key strategic partner network today. Now, the last option, if maybe you don't have the time, energy, or money to do it yourself, or maybe you're frustrated and don't want to stick with do nothing, option 3 is get help. And there's no pressure here, but we are here if you want help. And I'll show you what that looks like in the next couple of slides. So get help. We have a program. So ask yourself, what impact would it have on your business if you could meet 10 or more ideal prospects per month? For a lot of businesses, especially smaller accounting firms, literally you could double your practice in a few months. How much is that worth to you in terms of people served, dollars earned, more impact? Now, the next thing is, how much time, energy, and money could you save if you eliminated wasted marketing and sales efforts? And one thing I didn't point out, but I just want to share here, the better you get at marketing, the better you have to get at sales. And the reason is a world-class salesperson can close roughly 20% from cold traffic driven by ads. The world's worst salespeople can close 80% from introductions or referrals. So, do you want to get better at marketing and sales, or would you like to get better at networking? And by the way, with networking, you get to pick who you work with. So, I'd like to introduce the Exchange Club, and our website is just exchange.club. And Exchange Club generates a steady stream of high value meetings on a cost per result basis for its members. So think of this as a white glove introductory service for the professional. So you literally get introduced by our concierge team to blocks of 10 ideal prospects for your business. And you only pay once you actually make an introduction or have a meeting. And there's a $500 initial setup fee, US, and the price is the investment, $100 US per introduction. And we ask that you prepay in blocks of 10. So if you want to meet 10 new clients a month, your investment upfront is $1,000 for those 10 appointments plus the $500 setup fee. Ongoing, if you wanted 10 per month, you'd pay $1,000 a month. If you want 20 per month, it's $2,000. So we kept it really simple. The risk is low. Literally, you can order leads for your business, new ideal prospects, like you'd order pizza or delivery of lunch. Thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure. I love helping people grow. So for those of you who want to find out how you could work with me or Exchange Club, or if you're just having trouble with your key strategic partner plan, book a 30-minute virtual coffee and we can talk about how we can work together or how I can help you. And my link is just at the bottom, but we'll also have it with the show notes. It's calendly.com/jeffbourgeois/virtual-coffee. So thank you for your time and attention. I'd love the feedback. So if this video has changed your life or impacted you positively, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let me know. If you have any questions, also reach out to LinkedIn. Let me know. Thank you and good luck in your growth.